Hi, Phil here with Rio Grande. I want to show you how to set up and use your Neycraft Spincaster for centrifugal casting. The first step in setting this up is to make sure it's mounted to a sturdy table or countertop. If you're mounting it to a table, make sure you've got big bolts going through and screw it down really tight. If you're going to use C-clamps, make sure that the countertop that you're going to mount it to, or the surface you're going to mount it to, allows for secure mounting with the C-clamps, and make sure you've got several on there so it doesn't spin. Installing the crucible is very simple. You want to make sure that the filler cone goes through the hole and the grooves align with the little posts. Slide it in place and push it all the way up against the stop. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to wind the machine. We want to wind it 3 full turns. So you're going to check your orientation. I know that it locks over here, so I'm going to start here and go 1, 2, 3. Now this is wound really tight, so it might take 2 hands to do it. The next thing you do is lock the handle in place, and you can actually feel it catch. And I'd like you to try that before you install a hot flask. You're also going to install your flask, and you've got rings that are going to help center it. You push that in place and you cock the arm. And what's going to happen is once we melt the metal, we're going to release this, and that centrifugal force is going to throw the metal up into the flask, and it's going to go right down the hole. This allows the metal to fill all the little nooks and crannies and fill very, very fine detail, but it's going in with a lot of force. So you do need to practice this at least once. When you release it, you're still going to go in the wind direction just a little bit until this handle pops out. Once the handle pops out, and if you need to coax it a little bit so it pops out, then you can release it. And what's going to happen, since we cocked this arm, it's going to fling the metal in place. So we'll go ahead, we've got our torch on there, we release it, and it throws the metal. It's kind of like the fair when you're standing against that thing that holds you against the wall and they drop the floor out. It's that force that's pushing the metal into place. You can see that the arm is no longer cocked, so it threw the metal in place. So I do recommend practicing this at least once, because the spring on this is really tight. So the next thing we need to do, since we've got a new crucible, is we're going to season it. And so we'll come in with the torch, we'll preheat it a little bit, and then we'll put some flux in. And this just kind of coats the surface so the metal doesn't stick. Also, if you're casting small amounts of metal, you might want to preheat the crucible first, just to make sure that the spout is heated up so the metal doesn't freeze when you're ready to cast. So just heating it up, then we can put a small amount of flux in there. The flux will melt onto the surface. We want to get a nice coating on there, and it'll kind of glaze onto the surface. At this point, you can see a little bit of a glaze on the inside of the crucible, and so we're ready to put metal in and start casting. Now we're ready to cast. So the first thing we're going to do is wind the machine. We're going to go 3 full winds. 1, 2, 3, and if you need to use 2 hands, it's okay. We're going to pour our metal in, so we're ready. Then we're going to grab our flask. Now make sure that you use your safety equipment. So now I've grabbed my flask. I want to make sure that it lines up in the grooves and is centered, and that'll align the the hole on the crucible so everything goes in place. Now, because I'm using a medium-sized flask, I also want to use a counterweight, and I have a counterweight for medium and large. For a smaller flask, I don't need to use a counterweight, but for this size flask, I want to use the counterweight in the medium position, and that just helps offset any vibration so we get a real smooth cast. And of course, I'm wearing my number 5 safety glasses for casting. Now I want to make sure that the metal stays covered with the flame the whole time. I also want to make sure that the spout up where the metal is going to go in is heated, and then get the metal heated. Once you start this step, you don't want to take the flame off the metal. Once the surface of the metal looks like mercury, it's ready to cast. At this point, we go ahead, we release, make sure it's ready to go, and then pull back. Then let it come to a complete stop. And you can see all the metal left the crucible and ended up in the flask. Then slide the crucible back, and we can make sure that the metal went in the button. Thanks for watching our casting demonstration. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact us.